Welcome to Washington Square News. This is Op-Ed Live. I'm Omar Etman. I'm joined by Chloe Brake and Matthew Tesler to talk about the Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition. Thank you guys for joining me. So, John Oliver on his show asked this question rhetorically, so I'll ask it to you. Why does the Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition still matter? Why does it still exist?
I think the reason that it still exists is because, fiscally speaking, it's the most popular edition of Sports Illustrated for them every year. Mm-hmm. So, it sells something like 800,000 copies as opposed to they sell like 68,000 copies for every other issue. So it's a huge moneymaker for them, and I think that's the reason that they've kept this, tradition alive.
What do you think, Chloe?
I would agree, but I also think that it's not much of a tradition. They claim that it is one, but it's not celebrating anything. It's not really rooted in much. It doesn't have a lot of context other than the financial reasons.
It just started to boost sales between sports seasons. Are you guys sports followers?
Yes.
Really?
I love sports. I read ESPN online. I watch sports all the time.
But not Sports Illustrated.
But not Sports Illustrated because they don't cater to my demographic in any way. Even the advertisements within...
Even during the year? Like not specifically this issue?
Yeah, exactly. The sports themselves are interesting, but in the articles that they have, but it's kind of annoying to flip through and feel like this magazine wasn't meant for you. All the advertisements are also geared towards men. There's nothing that really celebrates women that frequently.
Is, for you, nudity the issue with this edition?
No, not at all.
Okay.
And I think that's actually kind of funny that all the major news stations, when they talk about this controversy, are saying that it is because of nudity, but I actually think that it's a super progressive thing to reveal a little bit more when it comes to the human body, but they're not celebrating it in that context. They're solely doing it for pornographic reasons and to sell more issues by objectifying the female body.
Sure. They're selling sex more than the merits of the qualified, smart women.
Definitely.
What do you think? Is nudity the issue for you? What's your issue with the print?
No, that'd be like the standard thing. It's like, everybody's like, oh my God, like nudity, like on our magazine covers.
Yeah.
What will the children think?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, that's not the real issue. I think that the real issue is that they just have these women and there's not a greater purpose. And I think that, being a magazine that is supposed to, speak about and celebrate athletes, I think that they have the opportunity to do something a lot bigger, but they choose not to.
Can you, what do you read? Because you read sports, what do you read? How could Sports Illustrated do it better?
Right, so you think we can't just tell them to stop selling their most popular issue because that would be a huge disaster for them. So ESPN actually has the body issue, which they come out with every summer.
Yeah.
And they basically showcase, bodies athletes, so it's men and women right next to each other. But the difference is that, it's athletes that are paid athletes, and they are basically posing in ways that just promote what they do. And, the huge difference also is that they're completely nude as opposed to in the Sports Illustrated issue, they're wearing swimsuits.
Yeah, no, it proves. The ESPN body issue proves that nudity isn't the issue.
Right.
Because nudity can be empowering and show strength and show usefulness.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And going off of that, Sports Illustrated mostly uses models, but they're not celebrating the models for their careers, for what they do. There are some super powerful women in the modeling industry, and they work hard for their bodies, and they market it in a really wonderful way, but Sports Illustrated isn't doing that. They're not contextualizing what these women do. They don't really have a lot of articles in the swimsuit issue. It's just all really close to nudity and all these awful sexual pictures that aren't making the women seem powerful.
Right, and I think if they did that, if they just had here are these famous models and let's hear a couple things about them, it would almost start to become like a Miss USA thing where it's like they ask them all these pointless questions and they're basically just looking at their bodies. So I think that if they're going to move in the direction of trying to showcase these athletes for a real purpose, then the models might have to be cut.
They could start by giving some depth to these models.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And also maybe picturing some men alongside the females shown. Emulate the body issue.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Definitely.